Hello everyone and welcome to our online class. I hope you all had a nice couple of days off due to the weather. I think it was very much so needed for all of us to relax and hopefully get some work done that we may have been behind on. So today I'm just going to go over a few things. You can see I have the syllabus pulled up. I do want to show you a few of the changes I've made. And then after that, we'll go through the assignment sheet, and then I'll show you a short prezi where we'll discuss your sticks and stones reading, and then we will take it from there. So, as you know, I'm at a conference, and I will be checking my email if you need to get a hold of me if you have questions. I will be checking pretty frequently, so be aware of that. Let's go ahead and discuss the syllabus. If you open it up, hopefully you've already noticed, on page 5 below attendance, I unfortunately had to addend this syllabus and add a tardy policy because some students have been arriving to class significantly late, and when that happens, not only do you miss assignments, it causes me to have to explain things to you when others have already started, and then ultimately it delays the class as well. So the policy will be that when you reach 3 tardies, you will be given an absence. And remember that the class policy is you can miss 4 classes unexcused, and then you can technically be failed from the class. Some of you are already in jeopardy of that situation. I will be sending emails out hopefully this week or this weekend of people who have missed more than the appropriate amount. So be aware of that. Let's scroll down here to the calendar. I did have to push back the calendar a couple days because of the snow days and the impact that made. So you'll notice for Tuesday's homework this week, you were supposed to continue researching and read pages 143 to 148 in Sticks and Stones. Prior to that, you were supposed to have submitted this framing template. If you have not submitted the framing template from last week, please go ahead and do that. You won't get full credit, but you will get partial. It is something that will help guide your research, so I think it's appropriate for you to go ahead and submit that. You're looking at Thursday here. We're obviously online. I want to show your homework. You're going to find 2 articles, 1 to 2, hopefully 2, that will help you create a solution. So you are looking for articles that have already suggested a solution to the problem that you will be discussing. What do they suggest? Do they have a main solution with alternatives? Does it work? Do you think it's something that you might also propose? Would you use parts of their solution? Try and find a couple of articles that have some kind of change or solution in place that you can use to either argue against or to use as support for your own solution. So additionally, you'll find those articles, and then there's a research assignment here in the online class, which will be due on Tuesday. I'll let you look at the syllabus on your own. For now, I'm going to close it. And let's go ahead and look at your assignment sheet. So this has been posted, and I updated the dates because, like I said, I had to push things back. This actually works in your favor. You do get more time now to work on this essay. However, if I see that we're moving at a decent speed, we may bump some of these due dates up. But please make note of the dates. You have an outline due next Thursday, draft due the week after that, and a final draft after spring break, or your final essay, rather. So I'm giving you ample time to get this done. I expect when you come to class on Tuesday in person that you have the recommended articles, you have your assignments, and you're ready to get into this. I also want you to make note of the grading Remember that your outline does count for 5%, your draft is 5%, and your final essay is 15% to average together to make up the 25% of your total essay grade. Some of you will start seeing grades on your arguing a position essay through Turnitin. The grade is the total essay grade after I've already averaged in your outline, your draft, and your final draft. So be thinking about that when you're submitting your upcoming assignments. And you can look at this on your own. I'll close it now. Let's go ahead and go to the presentation. After looking over the quizzes, I noticed there were some questions that a lot of you had about sources and how do I find my articles. You can always use the TW databases, Google Scholar. You can use opposing viewpoints. Please try and stay away from blogs this time. A lot of your essays did use blogs or BuzzFeed sites or things that maybe aren't that credible, and it ultimately ended up leading your paper away from the credibility, and it ultimately ended up causing some confusion with the research. So please try and use credible sources. I am hoping for at least 4 to 6 sources this time. Remember that your essay word count has increased, so the more sources you have, the better. So already you should have at least 2 articles, and you're going to find 2 more articles for your homework, so that will give you 4. And then it's up to you to find a few more on your own time. So let's go ahead and see if we're on the same page. And I skipped ahead. Okay, so remember that you want to have a well-argued solution. These are the questions I want you to start asking yourself. How do I come up with a plausible solution, and how do I construct an argument supporting my solution? Well, the first thing you're going to do to come up with a plausible solution is look at your research for your homework tonight. For Thursday's homework, you're going to find 2 articles that already suggest a solution. You may not agree with it, you might agree with it. But either way, you're going to use that research to help make your own solution plausible, credible, and realistic. To construct an argument supporting your solution, again, that's where the research comes in. You're going to have to decide if you agree with other people's solution, if you think yours is better, and why. If you think you have a better solution than what has already been proposed in research, you're going to have to give reasons of how you might actually implement it. Is it a step-by-step process? Do you need to make a policy? Will it be a petition? What are you actually going to do to implement the solution? Remember that your proposed solution will help solve the problem. It should be something that actually is doable. It's feasible. Somebody could look at your proposing a solution essay and say, oh wow, I can tell they did their research. I see where this is going. And yeah, I could do this. Not, wow, their solution is way out of normal. It doesn't make sense. It should be doable. Is it worth the expense, time, and effort? So you'll want to think about who is affected by this, who's suffering because of it. Who would you have to talk to implement the solution? Are they going to think it is worth their time, the expense, and the effort? So I had this up last class, but I do want to go over it because these are the templates that you will be using for this essay. Remember that when you concede, you are accepting a valid objection, but you're modifying it. So ultimately, your job is to plan for objection. Somebody will have something they disagree with in your article. So the first template is to accommodate critic A's concern. Instead of doing this, you could do this. So instead of mandating all children get vaccinated, you could have a policy that says children between ages 5 months and 1-year-old have to get vaccinated. And you would tell why. When you refute, remember that you're arguing against criticism. So you're providing an alternative solution that would be better than what has already been suggested. And you want to explain why you are arguing against another side. What do you see that is flawed with the other side's argument? So here's the template. Although X and Y prefer alternative approach, my solution would be either less expensive, easier to implement because of this. Here's why. So let's go ahead and turn to your reading and Sticks and Stones. We're looking at Quality Long-Term Care, Our Elderly Deserve It by Kim Klein and Dana Jordan on page 143. And these are some of the questions I want you to think about when we're talking. If you haven't already, think about what is the problem and how do they use evidence to support it? What evidence do they actually use? Research. And what is the solution? And then do they provide alternatives? So, one thing that I really like about this essay, aside from the actual topic, because I think it is something that is a concern that many people may not realize. What I like is the introduction. On the first page, they are using a lot of emotional appeal to grab the reader's attention by saying, one of your grandparents or parents may already be in a long-term care facility, but have you ever considered whether that facility neglects or abuses its patients? They are providing a scenario of sorts for you to put yourself in this position to think, oh yeah, I do have a grandparent in a nursing home or assisted living. Well, I may not have one, but I know somebody else who does. Or I've seen this situation when I went to volunteer. So they're asking you to place yourself in the scenario. And then they ask a really strong question. So please consider in your own essay asking a question about your problem. Have you ever thought this might happen to you? Have you seen this happen? How did it make you feel when you saw your grandparent being mistreated in the nursing home? How did it make you feel when you noticed that you got the last parking spot and somebody was angry at you? Try and ask a question if you can. On the same page, even though it's the introduction, they provide research. They say, for instance, between March and April 2004, the Des Moines Register printed more than 7 articles, etc., etc. So this provides credibility, it provides support, it lets the reader know, hey, this is an actual problem. And then if you turn the page, they have quite a sad story about this lady who choked because she was unattended. So I want you to see how strong a scenario can be to grab the reader's attention. Please try to use a scenario, especially in the situation of this essay, where you're trying to prove that there is an actual problem and you can make it better. One thing I also like about this essay is the way they break it apart. You might consider doing headings like they do. They have bold-faced headings on page 144, inadequate staffing issues. And then they move on to 145, current legislation. And then they move on to 146. And they talk about the department inspections and then giving our elderly the care and quality they deserve. Headings are great if you use them correctly. They help guide the reader and let the reader know that the essay is broken apart by different sections. There is a logical order for doing this. And it's also a way to kind of organize your own thoughts and serve as a transition from one idea to the next. So on 144 in the inadequate staffing, what is this heading for? Why is it there? What's its purpose? I want you to think about that and look at the chart. And then moving on to 145, the current legislation, this is a big one. All of you should have some background history with factual information like laws, policies, debates, court cases, statistics. This is like the heart of your argument that you can throw in the reader's face and say, look, I've done my homework. This is why it's a problem. Here's how many people are affected. Here are the laws that are in place that I don't think are working. This is where you build your argument. So please make note of how this is done. We will go back to this essay in class on Tuesday, so please make sure you've read that. And then lastly, once you've reached this step, you are free to move on to step 2. And don't forget to complete all of your assignments. Your assignments are for you to complete at your own pace. However, they are all due on March 3rd. Your homework is also due on March 3rd. And I'll show you that real quick. Let's go ahead and go to the online class here. Okay, this is what it looks like. Start here. You've already done that. You've watched the video. Now you'll take a survey and you'll just click on the link here. And then next, you'll read this description of how to narrow your topics. Some of your topics are way too broad. So you'll have to copy this link and paste it into your browser up here, but it gives you a way to test if your topic is too narrow or too broad. And then I have a video for you to watch, and then you'll move on to number 6. This is your activity for the day. I ask you about 5 or 6 questions about the readings and about figuring out why the reader should care about your topic. What makes it something they need to know? And finally, here is your homework in red. You'll access the document here, and then you'll upload it back into this link. This is due by March 3rd, and this is due by March 3rd, and all of these other assignments are due March 3rd. If you use your time wisely, all of these assignments should take no more than a regular class period plus your homework time. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your week and a fantastic weekend. I will see you Tuesday.